Okay, so we're going live. Okay. Hi guys. I see that we already have some people that have joined already. I'm Julia. We're just gonna wait a little bit for everybody to join, and we're gonna start in a second. Oh, it's nice to see people joining from different places. Yeah, feel free to drop a hello and a welcome and wherever you're located. It's really interesting to see where people are tuning in from. You can drop a hi in the chat. Okay, yeah, I see people still joining. Thanks, guys, for a little more patience. We're gonna get started soon. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your patience. We will get started now. First of all, welcome everyone again to today's fireside chat. I'm really stoked that you guys are tuning in. And I'm even more stoked to have with me today Gabriele Sabadini. And before I hand over the word to him, I'll just remind everyone that this session is going to be recorded and everybody will receive a recording of it. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in. And my name is Julia. I'm a customer success manager at airfocus. I've been with airfocus for almost 2 years now. And yeah, as I said, very, very stoked to have Gabriele with me today from lastminute.com. And today I'm going to chat with him about a little bit about what disruptions lastminute.com has been encountering over the past years that have been difficult for all of us, especially in the travel industry. Then we're also going to talk a little bit about how they dealt with the challenges and also how airfocus helped foster them and foster good practices with them. And feel free to drop any questions you might have during this chat in the chat section on the right. We're gonna have time towards the end to talk about all your questions. And now without further ado, Gabriele, I will give the word to you in order to introduce yourself. Nobody
You,
can do that better than yourself. So
yeah, sure.
please feel free.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in this very hot day, very hot summer day. So this is me, Gabriele. I'm an Italian product guy. I have a background as an engineer, let's say robotics and software engineer, and then I turned into project management, and I turned into product management, and I have now the lack of living every day with awesome product people, being product managers, UX designer, researchers, etc., etc. And I'm currently take care of the product management organization in lastminute.com, which is actually a group. So we operate many brands, and guess what? We are in the travel space. I've joined the company in January, and previously I had the pleasure to work in different other different travel industries, other type of industries like classified ads and many others. So yeah, a pleasure to be here, and thanks again for tuning in. Thanks, Julia, for hosting the session.
No worries. Thanks for this introduction. Maybe let's straight dive into it a little
Yeah.
bit. First of all, it would be great to know to describe your company,
Yep.
lastminute.com, a little bit more, so we understand what we're talking about. So maybe a number of employees, revenue,
Yeah.
expenses. What scope are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. So Last Minute is an OTA, which means online travel agency. So basically, is one of the places where you can go and plan and buy the tickets for your beloved holidays, right? We basically sell tickets for airplanes or accommodation like hotels and stays and car transfer. So insurances, for example. So whatever you need in order to compose your holiday package. As a matter of fact, we also sell holiday packages, so already prepared vacation, a single package you can buy. And we do that mainly for European customers. We have 5 main European markets. It's Italy, Spain, France, Germany, and UK. We also operate in the Nordics and in other countries, but the main ones are the one I've reported. So the company is composed by 1,500 employees. We have any kind of function. Everything is pretty much internal, including, product development, meaning product and tech, but also legal, marketing, sales, account managers, customer service, tax specialists, etc., in order to sell holidays around the globe. You need licenses, and of course we are well equipped. I think the company has 2 very peculiar traits. The first is that we can basically sell anything everywhere, and we are doing that across many brands. So if you're based in Germany, you might know the weg.de brand, for example. if you're based in Italy, you might know Vola Gratis. And so let's say the company dates back to the .com bubble era. So it's 20 years something into the operations. And it has grown through acquisitions. The original lastminute.com brand was not originally part of this group, but it has been acquired in 2015, for example. We operate in a multi-catalog, multi-language, multi-product, multi-currency type of product. So it's actually, and of course, multi-brand. So basically the product platform is empowering customers to find the best deals in terms of flights or holiday package through the web or through the app, no matter the brand you are using. So as you can imagine, the product platform is really complex. Let's try to start to describe it with the usual, user acquisition, activation, and retention pattern. The users are acquired either through Meta. So let's say you go on Skyscanner. I don't know if you if you use that, but it's very popular, Julia. So I think you are quite familiar. We are all quite familiar with it. On Skyscanner, you can find a lot of different offers, amongst them lastminute.com. So that's meta search. That's how they're called. And so we acquire traffic through meta search, and you basically pay cost per click or cost per action in terms of acquisition, or you search on Google the same thing you search on Skyscanner. So a flight to London or holidays in London, for example, right? And so we acquire through SEM or SEO, and we also have our direct customers who know lastminute.com as a brand, or Vola Gratis, or Rumbo, or Bravofly, whatever brand we operate. With that, you either land on a listing results page, or, which is the case of the Meta, or you land on a crafted landing pages created automatically, let's say, with a combination of editorial work and automatic output from our landing page generators. And so you can discover a destination, for example, so what to do in Mallorca, right? And then you can jump again into the search and get into the detail of your flight route, or of your hotel, or of your dynamic package. As a matter of fact, this is the second peculiarity. So we have a unique technology which can combine any flight with any hotel that we have in our catalog. And so basically, differently from a fixed date package, which is the one you can buy by walking into a travel agency, you can go last minute, you select whichever date you want. So the traditional package starts on Saturday, for example, but you can create 1 week holiday starting from Wednesday using last minute. We offer you a selection of flight with the best one pre-selected in terms of time of departure and cost, and then you are offered with a set of hotels. This happens just on one page. It's very easy, very smooth. We have a lot of customers loving this kind of approach. And then it's the time to go to checkout, of course, right? We're basically in e-commerce. In the checkout, you can say, yeah, I want an insurance because, I don't know, I'm afraid that the flight is going to be canceled, or I'm afraid still of the COVID situation, or I want to transfer. So you add up ancillaries, products, and then you pay. We have a dedicated payment team, for example. The total transacted value is around billions. So in a year. So we tend to over-optimize every step of the funnel. So whatever I've mentioned, from acquisition to checkout, as a team on it. And then, of course, you complete your order and it's not finished. So everything can happen. These days there is a lot of disruption going on around flights, for example. And so if you get your EasyJet, Ryanair, KLM, British Airways flight cancelled, since you have booked through us, we alert you and we offer a way out. You can get in touch with one of our customer service agents and we try to fix the situation. Or it can be you that you want to modify your booking, let's say. And so we try to take care of that. You either that through your personal area, or you can hang up with somebody on the phone or in our chat and in the app and whatever. Each part of the product platform I've mentioned has a team on it. I think we have 26, 27 teams so far, going from the search capabilities to the invoice capability. So imagine you're selling an hotel contracted in Spain to somebody in Sweden. So it means currency conversion. It means different legal entities selling the package. So it's also what you don't perceive as a user is extremely complicated in terms of tax and legal aspects. And there is part of technology supporting that. Otherwise, the process would be impossible to manage manually. So every team is really working in order to improve their KPIs in the platform, and yeah, that's let's say the overall in terms of the last minute structure.
Very impressive. Sometimes the end user like me forgets how complex everything is.
Yeah.
Like I just
Sometimes it
type in my
seems
search and I get a lot of results and it's so easy. But yeah,
yeah, it's just 3 pages, no?
very complex on your end.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's the home page, the
Exactly.
search, the detail, and it's done, no? So yeah, seems easy, but it's
Yeah.
really complicated.
Yeah.
Just imagine
So
the amount of payment fraud we are exposed to when you transact billions of euros. No, so we are optimizing the 0.0 something percent in order to extract value.
yeah. Yeah, wow, impressive. So maybe let's hear a little bit more about your role at lastminute.com and also the department you're in. I mean, you mentioned that there's 26 of them, but maybe we can hear a little bit more about
Yeah.
your specific ones.
Yup. So we are organized with a technology department, with a product department, and then we have sales and commercial and marketing and legal, HR, etc. So a typical corporate setup. My role in the company is to take care of the product department. So I work hand in hand with the business and tech. The teams are organized in order to be cross-functional, of course. So we have a mix of software engineers, data analysts, UX specialists, and a product manager. In a lot of teams, not all of them, depending on the different maturity of the team or the part of the product platform we are working on. My team is composed by product managers, product designers, UX researchers, and also SEO specialists. And it's roughly more or less 50 people as of today. We are still hiring, so in case you are charmed by last minute, do not hesitate to check out our website. And basically, every product manager is working on a specific domain. So we work with the domain-driven design architecture, which means a set of teams is responsible of a given perimeter of the platform. So you have more than one team working on the search, because searching something means you also you see that something on the shelves of your supermarket, let's say, but somebody has put it in a specific order. Somebody is taking care of loading those shelves from the warehouse. Somebody else is taking care of the warehouse itself. So it's really an articulated platform. And so, the official job title is product director. And I'm making sure that the teams are capable of connecting the dots, because, of course, one of there are many good aspects in growing and working in such a big company, of course. One of the aspects you may want to focus on is, okay, how we make sure that every team is going into the same direction, which is defined by the company and product strategy. So it's important that we are able to say, okay, my team is going to over optimize this part, or is going to provide innovation in this part, and by doing that, we are not diminishing the value of some other teams. So coordination and identifying the proper KPIs and the proper North Star for each team is really, really dramatically important. So
Right.
basically,
So
I
you're
try
the
to
bird
support.
eye, the bird eye on top of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
managing
yeah.
it.
I try to support everybody into taking out the best of from their team, basically.
Yeah, that's great. Um, Good. Maybe let's move on and talk a little bit about the project. So it would be very interesting to hear, and there also has been a question already regarding this. So, what were the difficulties or stakes? Did you quantitatively measure any of the difficulties, such as the cost or the resource? And if so, what were they?
Yeah. May I ask to rephrase the question in terms of cost and resources, if I get
Yeah.
that correctly?
So if if you have encountered any difficulties and
Yeah.
stakes um, in any kind of form, um, did you also quantitatively measure them?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It-
So what
Just cost
we?
as an example or resource as an
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
example.
Sorry. Um, Sorry, I needed to ask because my connection dropped for a second, so I've missed like 5 seconds of your
No
original
problem.
yeah. So and I think also this links also to our focus notes. So what what we do in order to try to manage this complexity, which is tough as a practice, no, is identifying how we want to prioritize things, no, and so that's some kind of way to measure the return on the investment you're making with the given teams, because at the end of the day is the from a company perspective, not so much from a investment perspective. You are investing money into the expertise of people with superb skills in order to create a magnificent product, and what other you're doing is that you are investing in assets. So you have your the cloud, which has a bill at the end of the month, and you invest a lot in research and development in order to learn the, the best technology for the job. So what we try to do is to say, okay, this from a cost perspective, there is this team and there is this other team, and they're working together in order to reach a result. No, and so the result that we want to reach, yes, it varies from team to team, but also inside each team, you might have different ways of reaching that result. And so it's extremely important the way we prioritize, and we do that either based on margin. So we buy a flight ticket and we sell that. Of course, it cannot be done under margin, and so that's one component. The other component is how much we are improving and giving KPI, which is connected to customers somehow. So let's make an example. You might be in the situation where you need to work into the customer service area. So you are trying to improve the operations of customer service, which means facilitating lives for customer service agents, which means facilitating the life of customers. So if we don't provide a proper tool set to the agents or the proper features to the end user, at the end of the day, the user is going to call us to resolve his or her problem because, well, I still have the problem. I'm going to complain. But if I cannot do by myself, if I cannot do that through the chat, I want to talk with somebody, And of course, there is a certain limit of phone calls we can take, And it's better to automatize the process. Yeah, just imagine we have a multi-language customer service. So maybe if we have disruption in one market, all English speaking operator, or all German speaking operator, or all Swedish speaking operators may be overwhelmed by the volumes of content. No? So we try to optimize for specific KPIs. So when we think about something, we say, okay, is this going to optimize a specific reason of contact, or this is going to optimize how many calls we're going to receive, and it's going to reducing it. So I'm just making this example to be concrete in terms of KPIs. No, but what we do and is I think uh, where also the tools really help in managing the complexity is, okay, for each initiatives, we set up some kind of prioritization score based on the KPI and on the economical benefit those KPI, the improvement of those KPIs is going to bring.
Okay, yeah. So you already drew the line a little bit from the difficulties that you guys were encountering, and how you're working and how you're trying to resolve them, which is where airfocus kind of comes in. So it would be really interesting to hear, how did you, like, why did you end up with airfocus? What capabilities were important to you that that we provided you with, and do you use any integrations? Like,
Yeah.
how did you make that decision? Okay, let's go with
Yeah.
airfocus.
Yeah, sure. So I think there are a bunch of tools in the market which can do the job. But what has surprised us around their focus was the fact that it's designed with collaboration in mind. So the way we can work together on the roadmap, so the multi-user approach and the multiple roadmap approach is very important. So let's say you are in a situation similar to me or not, but you have many teams with different roadmaps now, and you need to understand how they play together. And that's one topic. So having who is working on the roadmap, being able to access everybody else's roadmap is important. And then the sharing capability of our focus also enable others to see specific roadmaps. So the team roadmap or the company roadmap can be accessed even without an account, right? So we use that feature a lot. You can comment on items. So if something is not clear, your comment is there, and anybody with a similar question or not can take advantage of your comment and understand why something is there and why it's important and why it's in the roadmap. And in terms of, so this covers more the uh, portfolio part, or let's say the execution of the strategy part, right? We also have the prioritization topic, and then we also have, so let's take a step backward. Before deciding to do something, we look a lot of data, and of course the focus doesn't help, but in terms of qualitative data, we run, user interviews, usability tests, we have surveys. So we try to intercept in a lot of way qualitative feedbacks from the market, and we have now started storing those feedbacks in our focus too, through I think it's called Insights, the feature now,
Yes.
because with a market which is so big, you have a lot of inputs coming in, from users or internal users. So we try to do a lot of dog fooding, so using our website as well, because as employee we have discounts on travel, right? So it's not unusual that we found bugs, or we say, okay, this is not very clear, right? So we are now trying to connect everything into there, because otherwise it was complicated, and you have different tagging capabilities. You can connect, a feedback to one or more roadmap items, and so it's like, again, it's communication. No, it's really important for our product managers being able to communicate, and the tool, their focus tool, offers the possibility to say, hey, you know what, we have this insight, qualitative speaking, and yep, now it's the time, or it's not now, but we think that the next quarter we are going to be able to tackle this problem, and everybody can visualize it. So we are still setting this up, but yeah, it's kind of a place where we feel more comfortable. No, so it's at the end of the day is being capable of managing the complexity, because you have so many things in your head, and so it's super cool to have a library of
Yes.
user insights.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's especially for you guys where you have so many different teams and so many different things at once going on. It's good to have a tool that kind of connects the dots. And like
Yep.
you said, that's a big part of your job, like connecting the dots. So um yeah, and how about customization? Like for you personally, how do you think how customizable is airfocus, and were you able to really
Yeah,
adapt it to what you needed?
yeah, that's well, not entirely, but we are providing feedback. And the cool thing is that well, there is a communication line open, so it's like the tools get constantly evolved, so that's good. Um, but I think one of the powerful aspect is that basically, as every software could provide you with some kind of timeline or some kind of board, etc. But the cool thing is that if you can become quite a nerd around configuring a tool, and that's the case with airfocus now, because you can add any custom field you want, you can have any kind of custom view. So if I want to set up, the simplest thing possible, which is, I don't know, a Kanban board with now, next, later, and some kind of basic prioritization, you can do that. But at the same time, you can create your customizable prioritization math formula. If you want to be very advanced and go down that rabbit hole, you can. At the same time, if you want to provide different visualization for different type of colleagues or stakeholders in the company. So, there is the guy who is fine with saying, yeah, I know you're working on this now, and that's going to be done as next. And then there is the other guy, which, hey, yeah, I know you're working on this now, but I have a communication to launch, or something to do in specific in September. So I'm subject to seasonality, and therefore the board view is not working for me. I would also need some kind of timeline view with some kind of animation, no? Generally speaking. And the good thing with our focus is that you just do the work once, so you don't have to have two different kind of roadmap. It's just once, and it's just the visualization that are changing. Um, and I think that's another aspect I find very productive in the tool. Um, the problem then is it's like Spider-Man, no? It's something is so powerful, it's easy to diverge. So with let's say you have 5 teams, you could have one roadmap for each team, and everybody could say, okay, I'm using swim lanes, and for every swim lanes have representative an OKR we have in the company, okay? And somebody else says, nah, I'm not into that, because, yes, we have company OKRs, but for me, it's more relevant to have swim lanes set up with something else. And so if you want to combine these two different views, it starts to get complicated. So you have, despite the tool, let's say an agreement between human beings is needed. So we need some kind of framework and rules, ground rules, to say, okay, if we want to represent the reality through the roadmap, so if we want to tell a story through the roadmap, we have to use the same structure. It must look like it is the same book. Otherwise, it it's not okay. Uh, it's not
Yeah, I get it.
understandable.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if everybody uses different ways of visualization, it's also hard to get a quick overview, get just to understand the big picture. So I guess there's always, to some extent, is
Yeah,
always
some
yeah,
rules, no?
one red line is always needed a little bit, some ground
Yeah,
rules to be set
yeah,
down
because
when there's so many
w-
different people.
within a focus, you can have basically you are representing reality in an item, so in a chart, right? And you can have
Yes.
infinite custom fields, so you can represent any dimension you want. And so it's important that with your teams, you set up some ground rules in order to represent your reality in the best way it fits you or it suits you. So
And the
that's
rest
important.
you can do that in private views. Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
that's also interesting. Yeah, you can have your public view for everybody in the company, or you can have your private visualization of your roadmap of your work. So yep, and you basically the items are the same, the visualization are different, so you just input once and you can visualize in multiple ways. I think that's something I really like.
Yeah. So you said yeah, you input everything once and then it's just configuration basically. So was the deployment in general easy for you? I mean, you guys still are kind of in the deployment process, but how long did it take to get really started with the resource and deploy
Yeah,
everything?
um, so this is a tool, of course, no? So it's a question of having the proper mindset, having the proper skill set, and then at the end having the proper tool set. So we were already in the place of hey, we're coming out from the pandemic, we are exiting emergency mode, we are in the need of reformulating the perspective of the company for the market. So understanding our customer segments and creating products to still provide market fit. We are a mature product, but of course the customer audience have changed during the pandemic. No? So let's try to address this new type of travelers. Okay, check it out, and then okay, how we want to create the product with which principles in mind, with which vision, okay, and how is that vision on the teams, how is perceived, how they can elaborate something. So that process has been going on, of course, regardless of our focus as a tool. But at a certain point, we said, okay, we have this knowledge. The problem is that it's inside every team, and so it's difficult for each other to understand what we are really working on. I mean, we have our team demos every 2 weeks, so it's happening, but in terms of some kind of planning, so to see in advance what we focus on during the next 2 or 3 months, it is really important, not in order to avoid going into different direction. And so basically we sat down in a workshop or in 2 days, and we prepared it, everybody shared the roadmap, and then now we're in the process of doing it again with a second iteration, and and we have a first draft of a public roadmap which is in the making. So we are at the beginning, again coming out of this very dramatic situation for the travel industry, but basically the secret was sharing and collaboration. So you need a tool that enables you to do so, because if your roadmap remains your roadmap only, it's a waste of time. The roadmap is just a way of communicating and telling a story. It's not really a plan. And therefore, having our user base in iFocus, let's say, in terms of product managers, so they are taking care of the roadmap. They are speaking with tech leads and engineering managers for, let's say, more the feasibility part, and then they are intercepting the business needs, they are taking care of the data, and then basically the strategic intention of each team is represented into the roadmap. No? And so that workshop session was intended in order to confront and to cross-check everybody understanding of the roadmap. We did that also in some kind of a game. So we switched roadmaps, we mixed teams in order to understand if there was the commitment and understanding from each other. We asked everybody to redesign the roadmap of the different teams, and to form a cohesive discussion. So it's really important to have the right tool because it empowers you to do things, but it's important the approach you have, which at least in a scenario like the one I'm in every day, which is many teams, many complexity, is really important that you communicate and you do that cohesively as a group. So what I found important is that airfocus enabled us in doing so.
Ah, that's a really interesting take on like exchanging the roadmaps. I like it. Creative.
Yeah.
So during this whole process, up until now, have you also experienced some difficulties? And how did you settle them, if there were any?
Yeah, of course it's more a matter of difficulties in the process. So like understanding the level of detail you want to have in your roadmap, for example. Understanding if you want to have just one roadmap or you need to have more than one. So in your domain, you need to have a roadmap and maybe you identify which team is going to work on what, or which team is going to pursue an objective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you start to see that roadmap inside your domain. Yeah, it makes sense. And then you go to somebody else and say, hey, this is what I intend to do. This is how I want to move my metrics, and this is something they cannot understand because it's another language. So you work in finance and you have tax items in your roadmap, for example, right? Which for somebody working with upper funnel, so acquiring customers through marketing campaigns, well, it doesn't ring a bell, simply said. So I need really to understand if this is going to make an impact, right? Um, and then there is also the visibility topic. So uh, there is no value in having a top-down approach from the leadership team. So the role of the leadership team in a company is to empower every team in doing their best version of themselves. So the roadmap is not seen like as okay, so let's go through row number 5 and see what you're going to do in January. Okay, is not like that. And at the same time, it's a matter of trust. Okay, so it's like, okay, I've understood the objectives, and I need to hook you into my vision of the future. And in order to communicate my vision of the future, I need to provide some kind of step-by-step guide of how I want to build that feature, right? And that's again is the roadmap. So that this kind of roadmap, which must be comprehensive of all the teams, is more challenging to create. We're still in the process of doing that, so we have clarity on some areas. But the way
Mm-hmm.
you tweak the communication and the language and the data you expose maybe are different based on either the seniority of the person you're talking to, or either with a different body. So the the group of decision makers might be interested uh, into different part of reality, right? So your job as a product person is to being able to understand and to communicate properly. So it
Yeah.
it fits. You can have two roadmaps, no problem. The important is that they are still aligned. And I think our focus partially helps with that because you can play with some kind of, I don't know the exact name, sorry, but parent and child items or multiple roadmaps
Yes, like
being
a
seen into
product
one.
hierarchy.
Yeah, so you can try to say, okay, this is the very high level. Now, if we want to go into details, we have another roadmap representing more the details. So, and vice versa, you can go from the details to a more helicopter view. Um,
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at a little bit at the time. We have time for some of the questions that we wrote down. I'm just picking up maybe the most interesting one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What do you think, in your opinion, are the main benefits about using airfocus? especially like, have you seen anything that already has improved by using it?
Yeah, let's say there is more awareness. So I think that's the ultimate
Mm-hmm.
benefit. So understanding where others are going makes me think as a product person. So am I still going in the right direction, or what? Am I sure that I am sharing enough the benefit of what I've been providing to the platform, or uh, are we missing something here? And then there is also the more, let's say, simple part of dependencies, for example, because maybe a team is just waiting for my team to produce something. No? So yeah, there is also
Mm-hmm.
some kind of dependency and risk management factored in automatically, because you start to see things in perspective, right? So awareness, I think, is the most important aspect.
Yep. Um, okay, and has it been aligned with the user feedback, like all the airfocus users? Do they think more or less the same? Has there been some specific feedback from them since they started using it?
Yeah, of course, a little bit of initial training is needed from internal users, and yeah, but to that extent, I, I I I mean, it's not a problematic tool in terms of instead user feedbacks inside airfocus. If that was the question, I think the insights feature is extremely cool, I must admit, because you have your library basically there, so you can play with
Yeah,
tags and whatever, so you can sort out those information as much as you want.
yeah. Okay, thanks for that. Maybe just one last one before we move on to the question that have been
Yeah,
coming
sure.
in the chat. Any future evolutions that you're planning in terms of air focus, of course, and also um, in general that you want to share with us?
Yeah, well, we are really, in terms of our product platform, we're really working on retention. So we we're now trying to step up the game in terms of be better at having users stick into our platform, and so we are now trying to represent also our roadmaps with that kind of angle, which is a little bit different from what we have done till now. I can't say more, but that every company wants more returning users, right? So that's, I think, is quite normal. You don't want to pay your customer twice, of course. Um, but doing this at scale, of course, it's difficult, and also if difficult, it's very difficult is if your journey keeps starting from Google, let's say, or from a partner. So that's where we are focused as a company. And in terms of how we represent that in the roadmap, um, we are now, let's say, having those roadmap items important for retention, or organizing in a different way in order to improve how we focus on those activities, right? So maybe we have different
Hmm.
initiatives in retention represented by different items. So that's another way of representing the same roadmap.
Right. Okay. So we have been getting questions in the chat, and
Yep.
I
Happy to
think
take them.
yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much. So maybe let's start with a question from Tom Wakeford, who is asking, can you possibly say more about the different roadmaps you're running in airfocus and who owns them?
Yep. So they're owned by. So let's start from the finish, on the beginning. They are owned by product person. So it's either there is an head of product following more than one teams, or following a specific domains, right? Or by product leads. who follows a specific work stream. And so there is the local roadmap. So let's say the domain, so the team's roadmap is owned by them. And while together with me and the other products, we're trying to formulate a high-level roadmap, which is a synthesis of everything which we have, and which is more ready for the general audience. So let's say, if you work, again, I have nothing wrong against colleagues working in tax and legal, okay, but they have a very different language compared to marketing or sales, right? So when you work on that roadmap, it needs to resonate with them. Otherwise, since it's a communication issue, well, it's not working, right? And so if you expose the items of the tax and legal domain to somebody else, it's problematic. Nobody else is going to understand that. So you need more to explain why we do something. So we need to translate that for the general audience, which is basically everybody in the company. That's more the challenging part. So what we're trying to do is to build two type of roadmaps. One which is more team and domain based, and one which is more company wide.
Mm-hmm.
The contents
Yeah,
are the same.
thanks. Okay. Thanks for that. Then there's another one that has been upvoted. Seems to be very interesting to a lot of the people here. It's a question from Massimiliano. How do you organize your product teams? By product, by feature, by customer journey stage?
Yep. So we have customer experience domains and platform domains. In the customer experience domains are composed by teams which follow the customer journey. So there are some teams for more on early stage in the customer journey, some other teams focused on late stage of the customer journey. So if you want an example, early stage is a landing page, late stage is the thank you page, thanks for your purchase, right? And platform teams instead are creating technology being, or specific products being used in order to empower or provide more and more market fit to the customer experience team. So if I have to make an example, a customer is never going to experience system integration with a provider, right? This is what we call supply. The customer is going to experiencing the UX of the search, for example. Okay, so the team taking care of the search is benefiting from every input which is coming from the supply domain. So the items, the ranking is actually a mixed work, while the sorting criteria is instead more on the customer experience side. So they work a lot together, but they manage really complete different type of technology. So also the type of technology is a way we separate the team, because at the end of the day, the team must be as much autonomous as possible in delivering value. Otherwise, it's impossible.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. And another question that has been upvoted from Amrut. Hello, are there any best practices you can share in terms of creating roadmaps with measurable outcomes?
Yep. So I think it starts from modeling the reality. So before getting to a roadmap, you should do the work of product strategy, which is, okay, how the business is running, why the customers are choosing us, if you are in that maturity stage, okay, that maturity level. And then you would like to dimension what is defining your success, no? So is it really sales? So number of bookings? Is it margins? Is it how many products you have in your catalog? Is it how much reach you can provide to your audience in the market? So what is defining your success at the moment? And you have to drill down those measure of success into different KPIs. Once you've done that, you for sure can select the most important for you, but you should have clarity on what can be improved, so which numbers can be moved by different teams. Once you have done that, it comes not automatically, but it's easy to say, okay, I want to work to improve a specific KPI, and we are gonna have 1, 2, 3 teams working on that because they are able to do so. So if you reason in this way, it's easy. If you start from vice versa, it's gonna be problematic because basically you could enter feature in the roadmap, or you could say, yeah, I want to measure my team on this, and this is not relevant for the entire company. So you're exposing a metric or a KPI which is meaningful for you, but is still too much low level. Nobody understands that, and so automatically your roadmaps becomes challengeable because nobody's understanding what you're working on, and so it's very difficult to say uh, no to somebody. So yeah, your idea is valuable, but yeah, I cannot execute that, or we cannot sit down and analyze data there because we are very busy with this something else, which uh, is extremely important because of XYZ. And or no, I'm sorry, we cannot start user interviews on that because we are already working on this. So it's difficult if you don't have a sound motivation and you get that through numbers. So my suggestion is start with building a KPI tree, start with modeling your reality with numbers.
Thank you so much. People are really keen on hearing your opinion on those things. Let me check what else has been coming in. Da-da-da. Okay, so we have another one from Asha, and she would really be interested in hearing what challenges did you face transitioning from an engineer to PM. Also an interesting one, different one.
You well, I think you need to have a passion for uh, people. that's the that's the challenge. So if as an engineer, let's say by default you are interested in the problem, right? So you're eager to find a new problem to be solved because yeah, you are the best engineer, you have the best understanding of math and physics and whatever, right? But well, especially when it becomes to digital products where the line is so blurred and the barrier to access a product is so low, you it's not enough to understand the problem. You really need to take a step back and try to understand that customer segment, that personas, that really that cohort of people, what they're trying to do, because maybe they are misusing your product or they are using different products in the market to do something, and you're kind of understand the problem, but hey, it's a false understanding. So you really need to sit down. I always suggest, if you work with a company which is not an early stage startup, but also with early stage startup. So if you have the possibility to sit down as much as you want with your users, right? If you have the fund to do so, or if you are a startup, if you have access really fast to your users to validate the market, really sit down with them and listen to them on not only how they use your product, but on why, what they're trying to accomplish. So being able to do that is the most challenging part from somebody with an STM background, so with a more scientific background, because you observe reality, but you tend to detach from people. But at the end of the day, the users of your product are just people. So you need really to understand what they want to do, why they're using your product, or why they are not using your product is even better.
I think those are great words to finish it off here. We have
Yep.
1 minute left for a couple of words from my side. I can't thank you enough, Gabriele, for joining us today. This has been really, really super insightful, and I think people have been really interested, and it was great listening to you. So thanks again for doing this.
It's been
And
a pleasure.
yes, thank you. And for everyone that has been asking about the recording, you will receive a recording of today's session by tomorrow. So you can share it, you can rewatch it, feel free. And yeah, that's it. Thank you again from my side. Thanks everybody for joining. I wish you a great day or evening, or depending wherever you are. And hope to see you for the next session, for the next chat. Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a good one.
Yuppie, have a good day. Have a lovely one. Bye.